Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about NASCAR, since tomorrow is the unofficial start to the season because it is the Clash. I figured we would go ahead and come on here today and talk about some of the changes you're going to see this year in the Cup Series. Not all the changes, just some of the changes. And I'm also going to give you my prediction for who is going to win the Cup Series championship this year, and then I'll tell you why I'm picking that person. But the first change that you're going to see this year in the Cup Series happens tomorrow in the Clash, because this is the first time ever that the Clash is not only going to be in Los Angeles, but they have turned a non-NASCAR track into a NASCAR track. It's going to be the shortest track that NASCAR has raced on since the 70s. This track is so small, it makes Martinsville look big, and Martinsville is the shortest track on the NASCAR circuit. It's going to be 150 laps altogether by the time they start the feature. Now they're going to have heat races and all that. They're even going to have what they're calling a halftime show. They're going all out trying to attract new fans, which is how you build a fan base. And according to Ticketmaster a couple of weeks ago, the majority of the tickets they sold for the Clash at the Coliseum were by new NASCAR followers. So if you're growing the sport, that is good. If you're attracting new people, that is good. But the Clash was always held in Daytona up until last year. And then last year, they moved it to the Roval, which I don't think was a bad idea, but it wasn't a great idea. The worst part about the Clash last year was, for some reason, they put it on a Tuesday night, and that's just a bad night to have NASCAR racing. So they're trying something different this year, and NASCAR is already saying that they want to make the LA race a yearly event. They're not saying the Clash, they're just saying the LA race. So they're wanting to somehow, some way, race on this racetrack every year. And I don't know how you're going to do it unless they squeeze it in while they're already out on the West Coast when they go to Phoenix and Las Vegas and the other California track. Otherwise, it's just too much back and forth. It's the majority of the racetracks are on the East Coast, but they want to make it a yearly tradition, so we'll wait and see how that goes. But as long as they're growing the sport, I'm all about it. And then another change you're going to see this year is the Martinsville Spring Race is only going to be 400 laps. Now, the next time they go to Martinsville, it'll be the normal 500 laps. But the spring race is only going to be 400. They've shortened it from 500 to 400. Now, Martinsville is so short that normally you hear 500 laps and you think, man, that's a long race. But 500 laps is only about 250 miles because of how small the racetrack is. So 400 laps is only going to be maybe 200 miles. So it should be a very, very, very quick race. So for the fans that like to complain about the longevity of the races, they should like that one. Another change you're going to see this year is Atlanta. The Atlanta racetrack is being reconfigured. Now, it's not going to be a super speedway, which a super speedway is 2.5 miles or longer, but they're saying that it's going to drive and look like a super speedway, but it won't be a super speedway. But the Atlanta racetrack has been needing to be reconfigured or redone for probably 20 years. I remember going there in 2002, I believe it was, and I thought to myself then, boy, this racetrack, it needs some work. So I'm glad that they are redoing it, and hopefully it makes the racing better. And another change you're seeing this year is there's really only truly going to be one off week in the Cup Series because we know they try to wrap up the season the first Sunday in November. But normally they start the second Sunday in February. Well, this year they're not starting until the third Sunday in February. So instead of the Daytona 500 being next Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow, it's going to be in 2 weeks. And there's different reasons as to why. Nobody knows the official actual reason. NASCAR just says they're trying to give everybody an extra week off before the season. But the rumor is they're doing it because the fact the NFL expanded their playoffs this year. So since they expanded their playoffs, instead of the Super Bowl being the first Sunday in February, it's not going to be until the second Sunday in February. And NASCAR didn't want to have the 500 at Daytona on the same Sunday as the big game. But I can see some truth to that, but honestly, really, truly, that doesn't make much sense. Now, if the Super Bowl started earlier, I would believe that more. But the Super Bowl doesn't start until 6:30. Daytona starts at 2:30. So unless they have a lot of red flags for whatever reason, they're done by 6 o'clock. So it's not like you're going to be on TV the same time as the Super Bowl. And I know the Super Bowl pregame show is on all day long, but you've got to be awful bored if you sit there and watch 10, 11 hours of football talk before the game. An hour or two, I could see, but that much is just too much. So how true that is, I don't know, but NASCAR says they're just trying to give everybody an extra week off since the Clash is all the way in Los Angeles, and then you've got to come all the way back to Daytona, and of course you still have all the pre-race stuff before the actual 500 with the duels and qualifying and all that. So NASCAR says they just backed up the season for that reason. So I'm not sure which one's true. We'll have to wait and see if we ever get official word on which one's actually true. But it used to be they started the second Sunday in February, which was always right around Valentine's Day. And then they were always off on Mother's Day. But this year, that's not happening. When they start 2 weeks from tomorrow on February the 20th, there's actually really truly only one off week this year, which is Father's Day, which is after the 16th race, which is when they transition from Fox to NBC, because the first 16 races are on Fox, and then the next 20 races are on NBC or USA. So their only actual off week is Father's Day weekend when they transition from Fox to NBC. Now in May, of course, they have the All-Star race. A lot of people call that an off weekend, and a lot of people don't, because yes, they're on the racetrack, but it's not a points race. It's for a lot of money, so they're out there just to win and get that money, but there's no points on the line. So some people watch that race and some people don't, but there's only 36 actual races where points are on the line, and the All-Star race is not one of them. But when they start in 2 weeks on February 20th, the only actual weekend they will not be on the racetrack is Father's Day weekend. Other than that, it's pretty much 8.5 months of racing every single weekend. And I love it that way because I like NASCAR, and the weekends they don't run, I'm like, man, this sucks. There's no race this weekend, which there's never been a time that I can remember when NASCAR had more than 4 off weeks in a whole year. But the last couple of years, it's been 3. Generally, they're always off for Mother's Day, and they're always off Easter weekend, and then they'll be off some random week throughout the year. But this year, they're racing Mother's Day weekend. They're racing Easter weekend. The only off week will be Father's Day, which I believe is June the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Father's Day is a big time in my life because that's actually when my twins were born. So I always look forward to Father's Day. They were actually born on Father's Day 4 years ago. So that's just some of the changes in NASCAR this year. Any thoughts on any of the changes, please feel free to let me know. And my championship prediction is Kyle Busch. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm picking Kyle Busch. Because they have changed the race car, which they've got to find a new name for it, because they've been calling it either the next gen car or the car of tomorrow. Well, neither one of those work anymore, because it's not the next gen car when you're driving it now, and it's not the car of tomorrow when you're driving it today. So they've got to find a new name for it, whatever it is, but it can't be the next gen car anymore, and it can't be the car of tomorrow anymore. But they didn't change the cars in 2019, but they changed some of the things inside the car in 2019. And Kyle Busch, if you follow NASCAR, you know he's very outspoken. He's very blunt. He's not afraid to give his opinion, which is why I like him, because he doesn't hold back and just say stuff to make him look good. If you ask Kyle a question, he's honest. He always gives you his honest opinion. And in 2019, he did not like the changes to the race car. And he complained about it all year long. And he went on in 2019 to win the championship. And now he has spent this entire offseason talking about how bad this car sucks, and how much this car sucks, and how bad he hates this car. That, to go on top of the fact that he had to go through sensitivity training in the offseason because of an interview he did towards the end of last season. And that, on top of the fact that after this season, M&M's is leaving NASCAR. So a lot of people don't know what Kyle Busch is going to do starting in 2023 when his main sponsor is Mars and M&M's, and they'll be out of the series next year. And Kyle Busch always drives better when he's angry. When he's mad, he is 3 times better than what he already is. So I think the sensitivity training made him mad. The cars changing made him mad. And M&M's leaving the sport has made him mad. And he just drives better and races better when he's angry. So for those reasons, I'm picking Kyle Busch to win his 3rd championship this year. So he is my pick to win the championship. It's kind of hard to say, really, because these are brand new race cars, and nobody has any more experience than anybody else. So you really can't pick anybody based on, what they've did in the past, because none of that matters now, because it's a brand new race car. We're starting all over again. Not only that, but they claim there's a shortage in these race cars. Kevin Harvick and his crew have already said they're only taking 1 race car to Daytona, and that's all they're taking. The entire week and a half they're down there, they're going to have 1 race car. So if they wreck it at any time, they're done. So with so many teams having a shortage of cars, it's really hard to pick anybody, because you might be out there kicking somebody's butt, and then all of a sudden you lose a tire, you hit the wall, and you have no backup. So you're toast. So every single team is limited to how many cars they have. So picking a champion this year is just strictly anybody's guess. It could be anybody. But because of the fact Kyle Busch drives better when he's angry, I'm going to pick Kyle Busch. So he's my choice to win the championship this year. And if he does, as I said, it'll be his 3rd championship, and he'll be 37 years old in May. So he's still got about 10 more years of good quality prime driving, I would say. Maybe he can get to about 5 or 6 championships by the time it's all said and done. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How do snails fight? They slug it out. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.